Hey, this is Jason Morris with Real Estate Agents That Really Work, and I've got one of the guys that's in my group coaching here. I, Somebody told me your story, Jeff, and I was like, hey, you know what? I got to reach out to you because I think you got a really interesting story. So, and I got Jeff Lyons on the call with me today. So, Jeff, tell a little bit about yourself and the market that you're in.
Okay. Hey guys. My name is Jeff Lyons. I am in the Northwest Indiana market. Cover a pretty big region, 6 separate counties. My specific area of focus is Valparaiso, Indiana, which is a city about an hour outside of downtown Chicago. And I have lived here for 5 years now. I love the area. I'm actually a transplant from Metro Detroit. So I came into this area not knowing anybody and built a pretty solid business for myself. That's pretty much it.
So the thing that I thought was really interesting, and I always feel like guys like I interviewed Tommy Pierce, and he's a part-time agent that did 12 deals in January, which is amazing. And then I was told that you told me you'd done 58 transactions last year as a single agent.
Yeah, single agent, no assistant. I have an assistant now, mostly because I'm opening up my own brokerage. But yeah, I did it all by myself, and it really. I guess the ironic thing is I could have done probably 70 or 80 deals like I told you last night.
What do you think kept you from getting that 70, 80 deals?
I bought a rental in August, and I spent about a month and a half getting it ready. And there was some, backups. I got screwed over by a painter, stuff like that. And I just I noticed that anytime that there's something else that's distracting me from my business suffers. So I definitely could have done more. And it's more like the power of focus.
Yeah, man. A lot of us, we talk about buying rentals or we talk about doing something else for passive income. And the problem with that is every time we do something else, that takes away from something we're already doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I wasn't super involved with it, but I kind of was, I just kind of spent too much time on it.
Yeah. Dude, I've done the same thing and got bogged down in a project that seemed like it was never ending. And
yeah, for sure.
I've even done this with like projects around my house, you know what I mean? Where you think, hey, you're going to just paint the living room, and the living room turns into the living room, dining room, and kitchen. And the next thing you know, instead of it being a Saturday project, it's a 2-week project. And then the first thing that goes away lots of times is your lead generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Your lead generation, your lead follow-up. I mean, just those activities that will make you money.
So what's your goal for 2018?
I want to sell 100 homes by myself. I have a team of 5 agents, probably going to be a team of 7 agents by the end of the week. And when I say team, I own my own brokerage.
Now this 100 homes, though, is that just you, or is that you and the team?
Just me.
Just you, right?
Yeah, just me. I took, we had our daughter 2 days before Christmas, and I took, thanks. We took 6 weeks off. So I went back to work like basically middle of January, knowing that I needed to hustle up and get some money behind us to open a new brokerage. And I put 7 deals under contract in January.
Wow.
It was weird because, the timing was great to have a kid like in the middle of December. Our market slows down quite a bit. But the second I put it out there in the universe that I was back working, a bunch of deals came through and stuff kind of happened. And I just kind of, it's hard to put that into words, but it's just kind of, you kind of put it out there in the universe and have a good mindset, and stuff will come your way.
Yeah. The thing about the real estate business, I was telling somebody this morning. We're in a great business that you can go out there and you can double your income this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if you're smart and you work really hard and really you build your mindset, lots of times I find that the biggest breakthroughs I have in my business is not really learning a new technique or learning a new script. It's really developing a new mindset.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about my story. We moved here in 2008. I worked at a casino in Metro Detroit, and then my wife and I, actually my girlfriend at the time, we went on a vacation to Chicago, and we saw all these ads for this new casino that was opening up. So I come home after the vacation, get in contact with them, get a job, move out here a month later, packed up everything we owned, moved to a 1-bedroom apartment. And so I started working there, and it was a really good job. I mean, it was a standard good job, like good insurance, made a decent chunk of change, had health insurance, worked 35, 38 hours a week, and provided a good living. The problem is that I worked at night, and my wife and I got married in 2010. We had a kid in 2012, basically. And the more time I worked there, the more it got to be harder to raise a family. And, I'm getting home at 8:00 at night, sleeping for a couple hours, and then just basically a zombie for the rest of the day, because I want to, spend time with my family. And it just got to the point where I liked the job, but it wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I didn't want to be working at 4 a.m. for the rest of my life. So we bought a home, and the realtor that helped us out said, listen, I think you'd be really good at this. So about 6 months after we bought our home, I went and got my license. And I joined the brokerage that he was at, and that was my first mentor, was the broker there. He was incredibly helpful. I don't want to call it old school, because I think he does a lot of things right, but just a lot more traditional, kind of just call your sphere of influence, stuff that still works, but he kind of didn't really have a focus on the new methods of getting business and stuff like that. But he definitely taught me a ton about the business. And so I used that. I was still working at the casino, and I did 10 deals my first year, 10 deals my second year, while doing it all part-time. And then at the end of my third year, I was getting to be so busy. I was going to work at 9 a.m., getting back home at 8 a.m., sleeping for like 3 or 4 hours, getting up, showing homes all day, come home, shower, eat something, go to work, rinse and repeat. And I was fried. I was consuming a ton of caffeine. And I was operating basically just out of fear. I was like, well, I made $55,000 at the casino, and I was like, well, how am I ever going to replace this? There's no way I could ever make $4,000 a month in real estate. And my broker at the time was like, listen, like, if you quit tomorrow, I'll give you 10 listings. He had a ton of listings. He had like 80 listings, and he needed somebody full-time who knew what they were doing. So he kind of gave me a shot and said, take these 10 listings, and that'll give you your springboard or your safety net. And I want you to quit in the next 2 weeks. So I quit, and it was the best decision I ever made. I was so paralyzed by fear of not being able to make my monthly nut that I never thought that I would be able to destroy my monthly nut. So the most I ever made at the casino was $55,000, and last year I made $226,000.
226,000, and in Indiana, 226,000. That's a really good living, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think top 2% of people that live around here.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's a good living. I think anywhere in the country, really, but in Indiana, that's a really good living in Indiana.
I mean, and that's 58 transactions with an average sale price of 177. So it's a ton of volume. I mean, the most expensive house I've ever sold was $440,000. So it's all volume and just keeping your name out there and branding yourself. But I mean,
man, that's a great story. I remember I had the same thing. Like, my first year in the real estate business, I worked for the Carolina Opry, which is a theater here in Myrtle Beach. And I went to work at 4:00 in the afternoon, and I was the guy that was closing the theater a lot of nights. So I would work till 11, 12 o'clock at night. And basically 4 to 12 o'clock. So by the time I got home, it'd be 1, got in bed, it'd be 1:30, 2 o'clock, And then I was back up at like 6:37 doing real estate stuff.
Yeah.
And, man, it got to where, like, I felt like a zombie, like, just because I'd go to work at 4, and then while I was at work, I'd have calls, emails, and stuff that I felt like I had to respond to when I got home, And sometimes I would be up till 3 or 4 o'clock responding to stuff. And then my phone would be waking me up at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
And it gets to where, like, you do that for doing it for a week isn't bad. When you do it for like a month, 2 months, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
I was at
start,
the point where I was doing it for basically 6 months straight. It was,
yeah.
and we had two kids at the time, and it was tough, man. It was a tough life.
For me, I'll tell you what happened for me was the big thing. It was I had just I had closed some deals and stuff, but I'd made like extra money, like three or
Yeah,
four
yeah,
grand here and
absolutely.
there. No, nothing like really life changing. Like, hey, I can't go out and buy a boat, and I can't buy a plane yet.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, one month, just the stars aligned, and I made like 25 grand
Hmm.
in one month. And once closings happened, checks cleared, I said, okay, well, I'm gonna give my like 2 week notice, right? And I'll tell you what, the people I work for, Jeff, were like so nice. For like another 2 or 3 weeks, I'd go to work every day thinking, I'm going to tell them today, right? And I'd
Hmm.
go there, and the guy I worked for, he'd be having a bad day, or he'd joke with
Yeah,
me, laugh around. I'm going, oh man, I can't tell him today,
yeah.
and like I did that for like a month after,
Hmm.
like I decided. And finally, when I told him, I ended up still working like Saturdays and Sundays for like 6 months. And part of it was I had that fear, like you mentioned, like I was a little bit scared to let go of that job because it
Yeah.
was a steady paycheck.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I was so tired, I felt like I was dying.
Yeah. Honestly, I was consuming when I quit the casino. I was consuming a full gram of caffeine every day, through energy drinks, coffee, stuff like that. And if you take a gram of caffeine at once, it'll kill you. So and so once I quit, I said I'm not going to do energy drinks. I slept 10 hours every single day for a month straight, and I was just completely exhausted. And luckily,
Yeah.
I was able to kick the energy drinks, but it was killing me. I was so just completely contained by fear that, like, it was literally going to kill me. So
And then finally, you just took the leap and just done it.
yeah, I just did it. Obviously, it was a big help to my broker for, like, kind of pushing me. He said, "Listen, you got to quit in 22 hours. Like, you got to tell your boss you're quitting." And it was a little bit of a, kind of a circus kind of a thing. But I knew he needed me just as much as I needed that push. And it was actually one of my wife's friends, when I was presented the 10 listings and you quit your job. She was out with her friends, and I called her and told her, and one of her friends goes to her. She goes, "Listen, if Jeff doesn't quit now, realize that he will never quit." And that was like it. I said to myself, "Holy crap, she's 100% right. If I don't pull the trigger now, when is it ever going to be a better time than right now?" I
Of
had
course.
four or five pending, and I, you know, I heard it the other day. Someone said you can never get rich with a W-2, and
Yeah, that's
it's
right.
true. You cannot get rich with a W-2, and it's very blunt, and it's I think it's 100% true. It's like you said earlier, it's the only job in the world where you can double your income every single year.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing. I mean it's amazing. Like I look back at like amounts of money I've made, especially I'm 30. I'll be 37 this year, but especially like amounts of money I made when I was 24, 25 years old, and I look back and I go, damn, I shouldn't have made that much money. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, yeah, that probably wasn't a good decision, or that wasn't a good thing. But man, so last year you closed 58. This year you want to
Hmm.
close 100. So to
Yep,
get from 58 to 100, you got to do things a little bit differently. What are you
absolutely.
planning to do different between in 2018?
Well, I'm just going to double down on the things that have worked for me. This is not a sexy answer, but the way I tell my agents to build their business is you need to focus on two things: your long-term business and then your right now business. Your right now business should be things that come from prospecting or lead generation. Realtor.com would be right now business. Open house leads are right now business, and that's stuff that brand new agents can do right away. I
Yes,
don't recommend they pump a ton of money into internet leads, because A, they're not going to know how to convert them, and B, it's just too expensive. When you get started, there's so many costs to get started
yeah.
that I think
Most of them don't have that skill set foundation of
yeah. Oh,
following
yeah.
up with that sales process.
Yeah, I mean, I have a simple script that I wrote for our internet leads, and right now I'm pounding it into all my new agents this is what we say. We're trying to qualify them. I think there's a mindset shift about when you get a lead, you should be trying to disqualify them so you don't waste your time. How many times have you gone and met with an internet lead? You get there, you find out that the home is cash only. They have a weak approval for an FHA loan that's $20,000 under what this house is listed at. Their credit scores in the dump, they're approved through Quicken Loans, and you just essentially know that you just wasted all that time, because I don't care if the appointment's 10 minutes away, you still gotta, get dressed, be ready. Like you're taking away time. You're taking away time from other things that you could be doing. So I'm trying to instill in my agents, you're trying to disqualify these leads before you go and set an appointment. So back to what I was saying, open houses, internet leads that are given to you by your broker or by somebody else maybe you've partnered with, that's right now business. The long-term business is your friends, your family, and your sphere of influence. If you want to reach out to them, what I'm having all my agents do is write a list of 100 people that they know and contact them. We just opened a new office. We're going to invite them to our office open house party. Send them some business cards. And it's just a simple script. Hey, I'm brand new in this real estate business. I'm with a great team. I was wondering, would it be okay if I sent you some business cards and invited you to a party? Everyone is going to say yes to that. And the trick is to actually send them the business cards. and most people, don't make the call to their friends and family because they feel like, oh, well, I don't want to be sold. You're not selling them. You're offering them a service, and your friends and family want to support you. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made in the business was not reaching out to my friends and family. I was like, well, I'm just a dumb poker dealer. Why are they ever going to want me to trust them with selling their home? And that probably put me 2 years back from where I could be. If I would have done that right at the onset. I
lost so much money not doing that myself.
How much money? And we have this mental block. We feel like we don't want to sell to our friends, but your friends want to support you. If they don't want to support you, they're not your friends.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think if people realize that, they'll just let down those guards. And I'm making all my agents, they call these 100 people, say, hey, I'm going to send you some business cards and an invitation to a party, and we're going to do it, and then we're going to have a great big party, and they're going to get referrals from that. There's just no doubt about my mind. So what you do when you get those first referrals from your friends and family is you do such an over-the-top great job that they will – I always say when I have a client, my whole goal is to have such a good experience for that client that whenever anybody talks about real estate, they grab their friends by the shoulders and say, you have to call Jeff. That's the only thing I'm looking for. I want them to be they're my client. I don't care about anybody else, and they're my sole focus. And if you do that long enough and you do that consistently enough, you will have business in droves. You will have repeat and referral clients that come to you, that are seeking you out, that will wait for you to, be on their timeline. It's an amazing business in that respect.
You're just creating raving fans.
That's all I care about. And the same thing with my brokerage. All I care about is how good my agents are treated. And I want agents that work here that if their friends thinking about real estate or they know another agent, I want them to grab them by the shoulder and say, if you want to be an agent, you got to go work for Jeff.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. I always tell agents, like, follow up and keeping in touch with people is the key.
Yeah.
Nobody ever says like, oh, I didn't work with Jason because the guy just followed up too much with me. He kept me too informed with what's going on in my market.
Never.
He kept me too informed. I just couldn't work with the guy.
The guy just wanted my business so bad that he just kept in touch with me so often. Nobody ever says that.
Yeah, nobody ever says that. Usually it's like, oh, I talked to Jason one time and I never heard from him again,
Yeah.
That's the common thing we hear about when we're talking to agents and stuff. So your assistant, you hired your assistant to help you and help you maintain your office, right?
Yep.
So like what's some of the daily things that she's doing for you to help grow your business with your team or with your office?
Basically, so we have a online transaction management system. It's called Brokerman. It's actually pretty affordable. It's $1,200 for the year for I think 6 or 7 users. and basically any listings or any pending transactions go into that, and then all your documents are right there, and you can see them in real time. So basically, anytime that anyone has an accepted offer or a listing they need inputted, it gets emailed to Katie, my assistant and processor, and then she'll put the listings in. She will process all the files. Basically, you can get your accepted offer and then go back to selling and getting more deals. So you're not focused on the paperwork as much, and you can work on getting more business.
Oh, that's pretty interesting because I'll tell you that's one of the things that's been a problem for mine in the past. I'm a horrible paperwork person.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes it isn't that I don't get paperwork. It's sometimes getting it from the corner of my desk to the scanner to
Mm-hmm.
the transaction management system we use. That's the hard part sometimes. So she's taking care of that for your agents.
Yeah, so basically, and it's got checklists and reminders. It's been worth the money already for the full year, and we've only had it for like a month.
Man, that's excellent. It's
So I
amazing.
definitely recommend it. I researched all of them. I researched SkySlope. I researched Dotloop. Brokerman was the most affordable and had all the features that I wanted.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with it so far.
I think essentially all of them do about the same thing.
Yeah, the thing I like about Brokerman is it actually tracks agents' commissions and their commission plans, and then I can export it out to QuickBooks. So
That's
that helps.
excellent. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Now I got a couple more questions for you. I know I told you I wouldn't keep you real long this morning. Now, I know last year your business was buyer heavy, and this year you're wanting to switch to more 70-30 sellers,
Uh-huh.
70 sellers, 30 buyers.
Yeah.
You mentioned to me that you set up qualifications for your buyers. I want you to kind of tell the people listening, like, what are your qualifications for a buyer to work with you, and what happens if they don't meet those qualifications?
Well, it's a simple script, and I'll actually go through it right now. So say we get a Realtor.com lead. You're gonna be my Realtor.com lead, okay, Jason?
Yeah, sure.
Ring, ring, ring. Hey, this is Jeff from Realtor.com, or wherever the lead came from. You're basically saying you want to tie it back to where the lead came from. So if they were on Realtor.com, you say, hey, this is Jeff from Realtor.com. Is this Jason?
Yeah, this is Jason.
Yeah, I saw that you were interested in 123 Banana Street. Did you have any questions, or do you just want to schedule a showing?
Gosh, I think I like the house. I think we'd like to take a look at it.
Okay, well, I have time 9 a.m. on Tuesday or 4 p.m. on Wednesday. Would either one of those work for you?
Gosh, I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know if they would. I work during the week.
Okay. So you need a weekend appointment?
Yeah, weekend work better for me.
Okay, could you do Sunday morning?
Sunday morning would work. Yes.
Okay, we'll plan on Sunday morning. I just have a few questions for you.
Sure.
Are you currently working with any other realtors?
No.
Okay, that's great. So where do you currently live?
You know what? I live a couple of streets over. I'm renting a house.
Okay, how long have you rented there?
2 years.
Okay, and is there any reason why you're planning on moving?
You know what? We really like the area, and we're not sure if our landlord's going to extend our lease or what they want to do with the house.
Yeah, I understand. Okay. So have you spoken to anybody about financing a home?
No, but like we got good jobs, and I think our credit's pretty good.
Okay, that's fine. I can help you get in touch with a great lender when we meet on Sunday. And then when are you planning on moving?
Gosh, well, our lease ends in about 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so it's good. It's good that you started calling now. We got to start looking soon. Let me go ahead and schedule this showing on 123 Banana Street. Is it okay if I text you once it gets confirmed?
Yeah, you can text me, same number.
Awesome, great. I'll talk to you as soon as it gets confirmed, and I look forward to helping you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
So basically what that is just pre-qualifying them. The first question I ask is, are you working with any other realtor? Because if they are, I'm basically going to figure out if they're happy with that real estate agent. If they are, I say, listen, it's probably better that you talk to that real estate agent. They've been helping you and you're happy with their service. If they're not, then we're going to say, why aren't you happy? Because a lot of times people aren't happy because of other stuff that they screwed up in the transaction, not the realtor.
Sometimes it's just not happy with themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If your credit score is 480, you shouldn't be mad at the real estate agent. You should be mad at yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, so we figure out why they're unhappy. And then if we figure out that it's not really a big reason, it's not their fault that why they're unhappy, it is actually the real estate agent's fault, then we ask them if they signed any paperwork. We don't use buyer agency agreements here in Northwest Indiana. It's more just a traditional thing. So 99.9% of them won't have anything signed. And then once we decide that they don't want to have that working relationship with that real estate agent anymore, then we go back to converting the appointment.
Yeah.
So we're basically just trying to figure out motivation. Do they have a home to sell? The financing question. Most people haven't talked to a lender before they go see a home. My modus operandi is I'll show them one home and before they have a pre-approval, and then we'll go from there, because you know that you can only convey so much stuff over the phone.
Of course.
It's much better if you're face-to-face with people and they can see you and you've done what you said you're going to do, and then they'll talk to a lender. Your conversion will go way through the roof, unless if you're for example, if you're just like, well, you haven't talked to a lender, I'm not going to show you a home. There's a lot of agents out there, and I understand why they're doing it, but I feel like that's why their conversion rates are 1% to 2%. Because the amount of people who've talked to a lender when they're clicking on a home is almost none. Most people don't think to talk to a lender first. They want to go see a house, and then they'll talk about,
Yeah, then we'll try to figure out how we can buy it.
Yeah, and I think if people focus on, what people want is they want a house. They don't want to talk to a realtor. They don't want to talk to a lender. You have to figure out, you have to sell the hole, not the drill.
Yeah, of course.
You want to sell the end result, and that's the house. So I feel like if you can get them into a house, you say what you're going to do, you prove that you're a real functioning human being, your conversion will go way up.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's how I qualify my buyers, and that's how I have my agents. My agents, they have to get cleared by me before I'll send them a lead. They have to go through that script at least twice successfully before I'll give them a lead, because these leads are expensive.
Of course.
It's not cheap, so I want to make sure that they're at least converting at a decently high rate. And
yeah. So let's say the follow-up process you're using, like say you have that person, maybe you show them a house, and then what happens after that?
Well, so on the appointment is when the real work happens. You're basically trying to figure out, like, what do they like about the house, what they don't like about the house. 99.9% of the time, they're not going to like that first house you show them.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out what they don't like about it. I think figuring out what they don't like about it is a lot more telling than what they do like about it. And there's real objections and fake objections. If someone says, oh, well, I like it, but I just don't like the paint color, that's not a real objection. Like, if they say, I don't like the way this bedroom is, like, that's a real objection. They don't have a garage and we need a garage. That's a real objection.
Yeah.
So basically just qualifying them more, getting them in touch with a lender if that's what's necessary, and then figuring out if this house isn't going to work, what will.
Yeah.
I try and set up all my clients on an auto prospecting search. I feel like it should be a no-brainer. Everyone who goes and sees a home should be on some sort of auto prospecting. Even if they don't ask to see extra homes, you should do it. You have their email. You know what they're looking for, at least in a general sense. It's basically something. How many deals have I had where we looked at a few houses and then something comes up months later and they go and buy that house. It's a no-brainer,
Yeah.
So
I think that's a lot of agents just don't do anything after the person said, oh, they don't like this one, and they just kind of go off into the world and say, oh, that person will call me when they're ready.
It's crazy. I actually got a system that we're using in the brokerage from a lady in North Carolina. Her name's Karen, and this system is so old school, but it totally works. So basically what you do is you get a binder, and you have two sets of tabs. The first tab is a 1 through 31 tab, and that's the days of the month, obviously.
Yeah.
And then the other tab is January through December, and those are the month tabs. So every time you get a lead, it goes in what's called a lead tracking sheet. It has all the pertinent information, where the lead came from, what date it was received, names, numbers, where they're looking, stuff like that. And then it has a follow-up task section. So say you get a lead, you go show them a home, and they they just weren't ready to make a decision. So the next task would be to set them up on auto prospecting, get them looking, and then follow up with them in a week. So you put it in the next week's tab. So February 26th, that's where the sheet goes in. And then when you open up to February 26th, that sheet will be staring you in the face, and you give them a call. And then say, hey, listen, we're not ready. We're going to probably be 2 or 3 months out. Put it in a month from now. Follow up with them, see if there's anything you can help. It basically just is a foolproof system to make sure no lead falls through the cracks. And it's very old school, but it works because it ties it to your brain because you're writing it down, and then you see it every day when you look through your binder, and then that's your work for the day.
I actually had a coach. I mean, this is like in 2004, 2005, that taught me that same system in the binder system.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? I often, lots of my seller follow-up and stuff for a long time, I've done with just a notebook. And I mean, I still do it. I get a hardcover notebook I take everywhere with me. And, dude, honestly, it makes it so easy when you're doing something like that.
I don't know about you, but I have not been able to effectively use a CRM where I have to input stuff every day. It's just not.
Oh, I'm the same way.
When you get enough business, you don't have time to sit in front of a computer for an hour every single day. By the time you get home, it's 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. Your kids are losing their mind because they haven't seen their dad all day. Like I'm not going to be oh, hold on, son. I have to input these into my CRM. So this kind of works.
Yeah, it turns into a second job.
Yeah, it does. And
you know?
That's great. I understand that they can line desk can land a plane, but if I don't use it, it doesn't work.
That's right. I'm in the same way. I used to use Top Producer, like this was years ago.
Yeah.
And what I kind of learned was like I was using it every day, but the sellers and people I was following up with, man, sometime in the afternoon, I'd spend 2 or 3 hours like basically transferring my notes from my notepad to the Top Producer. And I use Realty Juggler and several other things, but it was so time consuming. I'd rather spend that extra 2 hours making more calls or making follow-up calls,
The things that are going to earn you money are the things that are taking action, like putting notes in it's busy work. And in real estate, you can spend careers doing busy work. The typical agent doesn't get to the office till 9 or 10 a.m. They BS around the water cooler for an hour and a half, and then, now it's time for lunch.
Yeah.
Come back from lunch, they need a nap, and they do an hour of responding to an inspection response, and then, I'll just go home a little bit early. I mean, so they think they work 9 to 5, but really they only worked about an hour. So many agents are like that.
I'll tell you something. I'm always in like a training program or reading a book or listening to stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things I started doing, and I started doing this, I guess, a month or so ago, is when I haven't been good at doing this like after, say, 1 p.m. because usually I'm not in my office anymore. But the morning from the time I get to my office to the time I leave my office, I count for 100% of my time. I have a notebook that I actually write down every single thing I do in it.
Yep.
And it's amazing. Like when I started doing that, you'd think like this call I had scheduled for 11 with you, and it was like 10:45, where previously that 15, 20 minutes, man, I would have just kind of hung out, looked around on Facebook, whatever.
Yep.
And it's put me in the mindset of, I got 20 minutes. What on my to-do list can I knock off in 20 minutes?
Exactly.
I gotta account for that blank on my in my notebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually just saw a post about like a focused time. Like, how right before you leave for vacation, you're doing 100 things and you're like super productive, and you're like, I wish I could be like this all the time. You can be.
Exactly.
It's just people don't believe that you can be like that all the time. It's incredibly easy to waste a ton of time as a real estate agent.
Oh, of course, because we're not responsible to anybody. Well, Jeff, I appreciate you doing this with me today, man. So if somebody wants to buy a house or maybe even come work for you in Indiana, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, easiest way is my cell phone. That's 219-218-1181. You can find me on Facebook, Jeff Lyons. You can find me, my real estate page is the Lyons Group. That's Lyons, Lyons Group Real Estate on Facebook. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to help with your referrals. If anybody has any questions about the business, I love talking about it. Obviously, I'm very long-winded. So
Cool, man. Cool. I really appreciate it. I'm going to stop the recording.